Good evening and a very warm welcome to the headquarters of Lincolnshire Police. I am here talking you through the day. It's not just any day, it's Safe Speeds Day, but part, of course, of this week of Project Edward. With me is Chief Superintendent Paul Timmins. I just want to say before we get into the action this evening, thanks for having us.
No, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you today.
Oh, thanks very much. Appreciate that. So where are we? Hopefully you can see the map now, or you'll be able to see the map shortly of where we've been. Out and about, I think, doesn't begin to describe it. It's been a very hectic day as we've worked with forces and other road safety organisations across the country to look at speed, and that is what we've been focused on today. So setting the scene, we're here, as I say, at Lincolnshire Police HQ. I should say it's also the fire headquarters as well. And just a few moments ago, we presented a certificate of appreciation from all of the Project Edward team to Chief Superintendent Timmins, but not just for yourself. Obviously, you're accepting that graciously on behalf of all of your force. And I've been out with my colleague Tim to 3 operations today. And as you know, it's been very, very productive. So thanks to all of your team, and hopefully you'll be able to pass that on for us.
I certainly will. And that's going to be something we'll focus on the next few days with my team. They've been fantastic.
Brilliant. They certainly have. So lots going on there. I've set the scene. I think we need to talk about social media, because I think it's fair to say it's been pretty big on this day of all days. And I'm going to hand over to our social media nerve centre and, of course, our guru, Neil Jewston-Smith. Neil, how's it going?
Hi, Neil. Nice to see you in Lincoln in the dry. The social media side of things here is doing very well indeed. We reported this morning at about 34.6 million impressions that we'd had for Project Edward on Twitter. During the day, that has jumped up to 38.6 million. So there's another 4 million impressions that we've added in there today. And somewhere in the region of around about 500 tweets with Project Edward on. I've had quite a few big hitters as well coming in. Greater Manchester Police bringing quite a lot of numbers to our account today as well, along with many others. But we can see there 5,500 tweets now in total for the Project Edward since our 100-day countdown started. So all looking very good. A couple of tweets of note just to mention for you. First one is from South Yorkshire Police. We've been very supportive over the last couple of days, putting some great content out there. And they've been there, part of Safe Speeds 24 today. Some great photographs and images of the work they're getting up to in Sheffield. And we've just got one other which we can show, which has come from Surrey. And it's quite poignant, really, because what this shows is that somebody was trying to drift on a supermarket car park, and it points out some of the dangers of antisocial driving. And where there's one problem, another often arises. And Spelthorne Police in Surrey reporting there that the driver was also arrested for blowing 89 for a drink drive test, the limit being 35. So great work going on right across the country for Safe Speeds 24 and Project Edward. So it's all looking good, Neil.
Certainly sounds like it. I visited Lincolnshire today. As you know, that the force has been hosting us all around the county. We made 3 visits. Here's the first of those. And with me is PCSO Dave Bunker, who you may remember, if you've been watching carefully over the last few weeks, from an interview with James Luckhurst a few weeks ago. How are you, Dave, first of all?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Now tell us about the difference in Lincolnshire. Remind our audience what's different about the powers that PCSOs have here compared to most other places in the country.
Approximately 2 years ago, our chief designated PCSOs in Lincolnshire with certain traffic powers, so we can now do enforcement for speeding, no insurance, driving licence offences, for example, and many more.
And what kind of a difference has that made to the ability to tackle residents' concerns on speeding?
Our local residents regularly tell us they're concerned about speeding in Skegness. Historically, we could do surveys, but we couldn't do any enforcement. We can now do that. So the worst offenders, we can actually issue traffic offence reports to.
And tell us about this particular road. I mean, I know we're in Skegness, but we're on the A158. What are the problems here? What kind of area is this?
It's mainly residential, but there is a large school just behind me. There's a retail park. Regularly get complaints about speeders in this area. Interestingly, the highest speed I've got down here is 62 in the 30-mile-an-hour limit. Obviously, that went to court and the offender was found guilty.
I was just about to ask if there's anything else you've seen since we were last with you, and I think that describes it. But are there any other notable stops?
We've had a few. I think what's quite frustrating to me as well when we are doing these speed checks is quite a few people are travelling at 35, 36, thinking it's quite acceptable. Clearly it's not. It's above the speed limit. It's increasing stopping distance, increasing the chances of having a collision.
Yeah, absolutely. And where else are you in the district today?
We're going to be all over. Watch this space on Twitter.
Thanks very much, Dave. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Cheers. Paul Timmings, quick word on PCSO Dave Bunker.
He's an absolute star and one of our fantastic road policing advocates in the county.
Thanks. So we had a great morning with him as well. Simon Turner, what have you been up to?
Thank you, Neil. Well, we've had a fantastic day in Kent with their Vision Zero launch, and that's their event's been going on all day. Kent County Council have put together a road safety conference with lots of demonstrations of various road safety products and services from their partners and stakeholders, as well as some fantastic demonstrations of vehicle safety technology, which were being run by Thatcham Research. But one of the really great things for Project Edward was that three of our key sponsors, Wescotec, Unoptic and Carnell Safety Cam, were all demonstrating the fantastic products that they have. And I took the chance to catch up with Chris Spinks, Jeff Collins and Mark Frost while I was there, and here's what they had to say about the event. So I'm here with one of the lead sponsors of Project Edward, Chris Spinks from Wescotec. Chris, we're very grateful for your support, as we are from our other supporters. Without you, it wouldn't happen at all. We're at the Kent Vision Zero launch, and you're here demonstrating some of what you do to improve road safety. Why are you here, and what are you demonstrating?
Well, we're demonstrating today a new product, or about a year old, which is a dynamic overhyped measuring system, which will measure the height of trucks as they leave a depot. Obviously, it's very important with the amount of bridge strikes there are, that drivers know what height their vehicle is. And then we also have one of our speed indicator devices which shows the posted speed limit and also the speed the vehicle is travelling at, and we do a full range of those as well. So we're here just to get those across to people, let them know what's available to go out and protect the public on the road.
So I'm stood on one of your bits of equipment now. What's it doing?
Well, it's measuring your height and it's being displayed on the board behind you. Because you're sort of moving around, it needs to settle. There we go, 5'11", and it rounds up or down. The idea of it in the ideal situation is that it will be much higher than this. The truck will park under it as it leaves the depot. The sign will come up. The driver will see what the height is. He'll note that height, and then there's no excuse for him going under a low bridge, or her, obviously.
Chris, thank you again for your support. I hope you have a really good day. I'm here with Mark Frost from Carnell, and Carnell are one of our very valued sponsors on Project Edward. Really appreciate your support with that. Without you, it wouldn't be possible. And you're here at the Kent Vision Zero launch with your safety cam, Mark. Could you tell us a little bit about what it does and what its contribution is to road safety?
Yeah, well, basically, we designed the bespoke system to change the behaviour within sites, road closures. We work on diversion routes. So it's all about changing behaviour of the public and the safety aspect of it.
So that'll really make an improvement to the safety of road workers on sites, because incursions are quite common, aren't they, when you get members of the public going into sites. So this is there to stop that kind of behaviour.
Absolutely. On one of the schemes in Area 7 in Northamptonshire, we had a problematic site where we were working. There was a massive diversion route where the vehicles were going on the off slip and ignoring the diversion route, and due to this the safety cam was deployed onto this scheme where they've recorded 28 incursions in one evening. So when we got there the following night, the safety cam was deployed and we didn't have any incursions whatsoever, and then we got sent back to the original scheme, and then the following night we recorded another 23 when the safety cam wasn't there, and then we went back the following night and then we recorded nothing.
So that just proves it worked, doesn't it? And as testament to that, you guys received a Prince Michael International Road Safety Award, I think, for this, didn't you?
That's correct, yes.
No, that's brilliant. Really good contribution to road safety. And Mark, thank you again for Carnell's support for Project Edward. We really appreciate it. So I'm now here with Jeff Collins, who's Deputy MD of Unoptic. And Jeff, you're another one of our sponsors for which we're eternally grateful at Project Edward. You're exhibiting here today and supporting Kent's Vision Zero launch. What is it you're actually demonstrating, and how does Unoptic contribute to improvements in road safety?
Okay, well, firstly, it's great to be out today and actually spending some time with people during not only Project Edward Week, but there's a really good number of road safety professionals that have come together today. And we're here really to talk to people that are interested in the use of average speed cameras and how they can effectively be applied to make our roads safer.
And how do they do that? Are they noticeably better than other forms of, should we say, speed compliance encouragement?
Well, let's be honest, I am biased because I've spent the last 17 years working with average speed cameras, but yes, they are hugely effective. We have more than 200 installations across the UK now, and without doubt and without exception, where they're installed to reduce casualties, they have done so and have been very effective.
Fantastic, thank you. And Jeff, thank you once again for your support with Project Edward. It's much appreciated. So a big thanks again to those three, and indeed all the partners and supporters who were at the Kent County Council Vision Zero launch today, including Kent Fire and Police Services and the DVSA and many others too. So that was really great. And earlier today, we streamed the Road Safety Conference live from the Kent Vision Zero launch, which included a fantastic endorsement from Baroness Veer, who unfortunately wasn't able to attend in person, but sent an amazing testimonial thanking all the partners and saying what a great job Kent County Council had done, and making specific mention of Project Edward and how pleased she was to endorse that as a really good road safety initiative. Also there, giving one of the keynote addresses was Prince Michael of Kent, and he gave a really interesting talk as well around the importance of vehicle technology, and came and signed our Project Edward banner afterwards, which was a really nice thing of him to do. He's very committed to Project Edward as well, and again gave his best wishes to all the team for the rest of the road trip. The final thing I did while I was there was in the morning I'd interviewed Matthew Avery from Thatcham Research, and he'd shown us some of the vehicles they were going to be testing and some of the active safety systems that they were going to be demonstrating. I took the chance to jump into the cab of the HGV with Colin Grover of Thatcham Research, who gave us a quick demonstration of its lane keeping assist systems and then its emergency braking system as well, which was quite something to experience from inside. So a fantastic day with Ken. It went really well. Really amazed at how much engagement from the public who were there, and also the engagement from the partners who really supported and helped make that event come to life. So that was my day. Neil, thank you very much. I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, Simon. Safe onward journey. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. Bye for now. Okay, so we are running competitions, as you may have heard if you've been tuning in all week, one of which is Spin the Tyre. If you go to the homepage of our website, you can spin the tyre, answer some questions on road safety and get through to enter a draw. Now, previously we were doing weekly draws. Now we are doing daily draws. So you have a chance to win a dash cam with an SD card every day. Tomorrow is the last day. So get yourself in today with a chance, get yourself in tomorrow with a chance, and you could be the owner of a Next Base 322 dash cam with a 32 gig SD card. Got to be right on the detail there. Okay, as you know, I've been in Lincolnshire all day. Let's see what happened with our second stop. Okay, so stop number 2 with Lincolnshire Police. We're on the West End Road in Wimbledon, a residential street, as you can see. This is on the outskirts of Boston in Lincolnshire. And the team here have been here for 40 minutes. They've issued 3 tickets already. Now, one of which was an interesting story they told me. Down there, behind us, round the corner, maybe about 400 or 500 yards away, there's a mini roundabout. They could hear that very distinctive screech of the tyres coming around. They knew what was coming, and sure enough, someone doing over 10 miles an hour over the limit has been pulled over. Now, that person may receive a speed awareness course depending on their offending history. It may go straight to points and a fine, or that individual may choose for points and a fine. We'll see. But there's definitely an offence there and a ticket issued. That was 3 tickets here. Before that, they've been to 3 other places. They've been to Church Lane in Freeston, not too far from here, caught a speeder there, the A52 in Wrangle, 2 there, and outside a school. No one caught there. That's good news. Parking is a problem there, cars forced to slow down. They were telling me about the situation there, and there's some blind corners and that sort of thing, so quite difficult there, but no one caught there. Now, we know today's about speed, but there's been over half a dozen negative breath tests. No one has tested positive for alcohol, which is obviously good news, but we're here to talk about speed. The team here have got 7 tickets issued already in the 4 locations they've been to, and it's only about 1:30. Okay, so it's about 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes since I recorded that piece you've just seen there, and already another driver behind me pulled over for speeding. Coming up behind me, pulled over. We saw them, me and my cameraman saw them moving very fast up the road. They've been pulled over, so I'm going to have a chat with the officers when they're finished, and we'll see what the result was. Okay, so we checked on that. There was a noticeable slowdown just before the detector got the speed up. So they're still over the limit, managed to pull them over, give them words of advice, and a breath test, which was negative. So it's good news there. The message is getting through, the education is getting through. Since then, again, we're talking to you about 10 minutes after that last piece of footage. They've stopped an electric vehicle going over the limit and given some advice and a test there. And you've got a motorbike, as we can see, being stopped right there, and quite a heated discussion going on too. So we're just about to get on the move to our next location. We've just got to wait for that larger vehicle you can see behind me to move out of the way. They've got a bit of what they've described as a production line going on now, because in the last 20 minutes or so they've stopped 7 people clearly speeding, and they're dealing with those right now. You've got 3 officers here, so there's plenty of resource to deal with what's going on. It has turned into quite a flurry of speeding drivers. We're going to move on now, and we'll update you from our next stop. I'll just say at this point that we were originally planning 4 visits here today, 1 for each of the districts in Lincolnshire Police. But as we spoke earlier, it was that second visit was quite in depth. So we got quite a bit there that we needed to say for. We really needed to see that happen. And as I think you heard, there was a bit of a production line there. Anyway, on now to visit 3. South Kyme, a beautiful Lincolnshire village. It's the scene for our 3rd visit to police speed operations as part of this Safer Speeds Day. We're going to have a chat now about the operation that's going on right here in this village and why it's happening. With me is PC Scott Genchi.
Today, at the moment, I've got 4 police officers in 2 different locations on South Kyme. We're here obviously to enforce Op Edward, to do with speed awareness, and obviously to reduce the number of fatalities and serious injuries which happen every day nationally.
So is this here specifically right now, right here, is this residents' concerns you're responding to? Is it intelligence? Is it stats? Why are you here?
So here today is residents and intelligence. So we got a process whereby the intelligence is built up by the use of fixed speed detection devices, which are usually acquired by the town parish, and they're fitted, and there's one fitted there on the high street in South Kyme. And also there'll be mobile ones which are fitted by the neighbourhood policing team, so that's actually by Lincolnshire Police. So they will give us a series of stats about the times and sort of the speeds that are used on these roads. And the other one is intelligence, so each members of the public that will tell us they've seen vehicle speedings, and it seems to be happening all the time.
Yeah, and you spoke to me earlier about sort of filtering out some of the perception issues. There obviously is speeding, but there's some speeding which is more perceived as speeding, for example HGVs, and tell us why that is.
Yeah, so the usually it's the complaints from members of the public. Sometimes the speeding is perception of the speed which is caused by the size of the vehicle, so heavy tyres, or if it's a small motorbike, they will make different engine noises, and people on hearing them, they will think that the vehicle is travelling in excess speed, whereby most of the time these vehicles are travelling at the normal or correct speed.
Yeah, and tell us about the equipment you're using today.
So today we're using 2 laser guns, which obviously are part of Lincolnshire Police, and are standard to the police equipment issue that we've been given.
Yeah, and obviously that's going to give you the accurate measure of the speed, so we'll know whether they're speeding or not.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously we can do vehicles coming towards us and vehicle going away from us. So whether they're even going away, it'll give us a minus reading, but it'll give us the exact speed that you're travelling at. Part of the North and South Kesteven, we've hit 4 locations. So far we've seized 2 vehicles off the road to do with driving licence, insurance offences, vehicles with faulty and defective tyres.
So this isn't the only place you've been today. What else have you seen and what else have you dealt with?
We've produced approximately 5 summons so far for excess of speed limits, and we've given 4 to 5 warnings for speed which have been excessed in local areas, but it's sort of within our buffer zone where we're happy to give people's word of advice.
We're just about to leave South Kime, and it was quite quiet, it's fair to say, at the beginning. We've had our conversations with the officers on the ground here, and you can just about see behind me there's a stop going on right now as we're starting to move towards the evening rush. There's stops for speeding going on. A busy day across the county, as you've seen, but we're now in the calm conference room at Lincolnshire Police HQ, and with me is Chief Superintendent Paul Timmings. It was a busy day. It was. And first of all, why is Project Edward and this safe speed stay so important to you and the force?
It's really, really important in that we've got an ambition to make Lincolnshire the safest county in the UK for road safety, and we're not there at the moment. And this is an opportunity to tell our public in Lincolnshire that we're really serious about this, but also our own staff as well that have been engaged in this throughout the day, and other activities we've been doing over the last few months as well, really supports the message of making our roads a lot safer. We know that speeding in particular is one of those issues that causes the most grief. We know up to nearly 25% of all of our killed and seriously injured accidents have speeding as a factor in those accidents. So this is a great opportunity to ram that message home that speeding just isn't worth it.
Yeah, and taking a step back in time now, capability was quite low in the force previously.
Yeah, it was. So we went through a period of time where our roads policing capability was very low. We were relying on our other teams to support that activity. But thankfully, through some investment and through support we've had in force, we're now getting back up to stages of having a fully deployable roads policing unit, which will be fantastic for the county, fantastic for road safety, and we'll work obviously in partnership with other partners as well to make sure we can make these roads as safe as possible.
Give us a bit more information about today then, coming back to the present. What are you hearing about what's going on the ground?
Well, I've had a couple of conversations with staff who've been there. I've had one that's chewed my ear off when I got back here, which was really telling me how much they've enjoyed it, how much activity they've been able to do. The education piece as well as the enforcement piece with the public as well has been really important. And it's really been an energising day, I think, for the staff that's been involved. And that's really great to see in here. And hopefully our public are seeing this as well and realising that we are doing an awful lot around speeding issues in Lincolnshire.
Yeah, because you talk about the education piece, and there's also, all right, yes, it's speed today, and that is a big priority, and we're rightly focusing on that. But there's other pieces as well, and you've kind of got to focus on. We had this conversation yesterday, so many different audiences and so many different messages, and you talk about the education piece. It sounds like there's sometimes too many pieces, and it's where do you focus, and what are you going to prioritise over the next 12 months in terms of road safety?
Well, our priority ultimately is to make the county as safe as it can be. And we are prioritising, with the police. So our main role is enforcement. We'll support other agencies in terms of the other pieces they're doing, particularly education. But we're looking at that engagement piece with our public and that enforcement. And we'll be there enforcing on all sorts of different bits of road legislation, but most importantly, things like speeding and seat belts and inappropriate overtaking. And that activity really causes danger. We're going to be out there acting as a deterrent and getting that message home, and hopefully we'll start to see our killed and seriously injured reducing. We'll start to actually, my hope is that we actually won't be issuing fixed penalty notices in the future because people will be abiding by the laws of the road. And driving.
Yeah. Now, there's only one Dave Bunker, but there are a lot of PCSOs with enforcement powers, and that's fairly unique to Lincolnshire. I think it's only a handful of forces that have got it. Tell us more about why you did that.
So we basically listened to our staff and listened to our communities. So the powers have always been there available for PCSOs to use. But we were hearing that our local communities, and particularly Lincolnshire, got a lot of villages, a lot of small local communities that are covered by our neighbourhood policing teams. Our neighbourhood policing teams are predominantly PCSOs, and we wanted to give them the ability to solve some of the local problems, like perhaps parking enforcement outside of schools or speeding that's issues through some villages. They can do that themselves. And do that as part of their problem solving within local communities. So we gave them those powers to enable them to do that. And it's been a real success. And people like Dave and others that are working in all parts of the Lincolnshire are real advocates of this. And it really does work.
Yeah, and 2 more days left of Project Edward. Hopefully we're going to be hearing more from you and your force colleagues.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be putting more stuff out there for people to see. I know there's a number of people in Force who've been using this as an opportunity to talk about tyre safety, to talk about other issues of road safety. And this is going to be something that isn't just for this week, isn't just for today. It's something we'll be doing daily and getting that message out to all of our communities that we're taking road safety really, really seriously.
Paul Timmins, thanks again for having us, and thanks for the conversation there. Neil Jewson-Smythe, social media, how's it going?
Well, Neil, I'm going to throw you a question first of all, straight off, and say, as far as Twitter and social media concerned, what is the one thing or the 2 things that really gain most traction?
Now that's an interesting one. Yeah,
okay.
no, do.
We won't keep you sweating too long, because I know that we've been going on for a while. But cats and dogs are the things that really gain lots and lots of traction on social media. And I want to show you an image from the roads policing team up in Scotland, Police Scotland today, who put this image out with these 2 dogs. It's Safe Speeds Day today, Safe Speeds 24. And just look at the 2 different pictures of the dogs here and decide which kind of driver you should be. Everybody's in a hurry these days, but as people have said on social media throughout Project Edward Week so far, if you're going to be late, you're going to be late. There's no place for speeding just because you're late. And the calm, controlled image of the dog on the right there is how we should aspire to be as drivers, calm and in control. But great day on social, Neil.
Brilliant. And we'll catch up with you again tomorrow. I should have guessed cats and dogs. It's such a big topic. I thought you meant road safety, but we're talking social media as a whole.
Talking social media.
Yeah, it's got to be cats and dogs. So thanks a lot, Neil. See you tomorrow. Neil Jewson-Smythe there. James and Darren in the blue car. They left Bracknell in the early afternoon. Time to join them at their latest port of call.
So here we are in sunny Bracknell at the distribution warehouse of Waitrose today. And I'm delighted to be joined by 2 companies here. First and foremost is DriveTech. We will go back to Nick and Tracy shortly, and then we will be followed by a team from Waitrose themselves. So I'm just going to move in and have a chat with you, Nick. What I'm really interested to know is that Project Edward's now been going for a number of years, and I'd just like to know from the private sector your involvement and why DriveTech decided to get involved in Project Edward. And more to the point, what is it you think you can do to help support it?
I think, DriveTech have been a long-standing supporter and sponsor of Project Edward. And I think the reason we became involved is because there is that shared value and that shared goal. I think we're both looking to achieve exactly the same thing. We have 2 distinct parts of the business in terms of providing police speed awareness courses and the education through that. And then also on the corporate side, also educate drivers and people looking after drivers as well, which is really important. So that's the prevention as well as the cure from our perspective.
That's excellent. And do you have anything to add there, Tracy, in terms of what has been said by Nick?
We support the Project Edward scheme and the sales people that I work with, the teams that I work with. We actively encourage our customers to get involved in Project Edward as well, with selfies on LinkedIn and such like, and we wholly support it.
Now, the one thing we can't do in Project Edward is we can't do this alone. It's about partnerships. So I just want to have a quick word now with the team here from Waitrose themselves, and I'm going to particularly move across to Simon. So Simon, you represent a major fleet here in the UK with Waitrose and that. And obviously it takes a lot of, shall we say, management to make sure that's run efficiently. But more importantly, to make sure it's safe for your network and your employees. So just tell us a little bit about what Waitrose is doing in particular at the moment to make sure that they understand the risks involved when they're riding on the streets and the roads of the UK.
Okay, so the John Lewis Partnership's got numerous different teams working, heading across all of the different operations that we have, all the different vehicle operations. And we have 5 or 6, just in the Waitrose fleet, we have 5 or 6 driver development managers that are analysing the data and target training the necessary drivers that are coming up as risk or at risk, as we call it. And then we've got a couple of people that work in the background just grinding the cogs of the data to make sure that we are hitting the right people. And then engage with partners such as DriveTech to help to actually get to those drivers and show them on the road how to do the right thing, and feed back to us that they are now in the right area. If they're not, we then apply more training to ensure that the risks are managed.
Now, just one thing I'm going to sort of finish up with. Today it's actually the National Speed Awareness Day, whereby all the constabularies around the UK are going to be focusing on the education of speed. Now, I'm going to turn this question back to our colleagues here at Waitrose. If there was one piece of advice that they could give to the public out there, what would that be when it comes to the question of speed, and why would that be important to help everyone? I'm going to pass the question over to Ben here, if that's okay.
That's absolutely fine. So there's two aspects, of course, to speed. One is the actual speed limit in itself, but it's driving according to what's going on. No speed limit can take into account what's happening right there, right then. And it's so important that drivers are extending their vision. They're thinking about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and very often, whenever someone's involved in a collision, they're going too fast, whether that's over the number in the red circle or otherwise.
No, I would totally agree with you there. Some very good answers. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for here in Bracknell. We now need to get back to the studio, and I'm going to pass back to Neil as myself and James jump in the car and head off to Gloucester. Thanks from here.
Welcome to Gloucestershire. We're on Secunda Way, or just off it. It's a busy stretch of road to the south of the city centre. There's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit here, and today on National Safe Speeds Day, a team from Gloucestershire Police are enforcing speed limits and also educating drivers, pulling them in and having a chat about the importance of obeying speed limits. I'm very pleased to be joined by Chris Nelson, who is the Police and Crime Commissioner for Gloucestershire. Chris, how important is road safety in your portfolio?
Oh, it's very important. I'm just writing my police and crime prevention plan at the moment, and it's going to figure very, very strongly. Last year, for instance, our figures of road deaths were 6 times the number of murders in the county, and I think that's a dreadful statistic. We need to do something to reduce those numbers.
What sort of things do you have in mind to do? Because the stuff that's going on, that's been going on from of old, in terms of, let's say, new strategies or bringing communities more into it, how might you be looking to do that?
Well, I think first of all, congratulations to you and your team for Project Edward. I think that's a good initiative. It focuses the mind of people and police forces. So I think that's one idea, one way of improving things. I've got 6 road shows on the go where I'm out and about talking to each district within the county, and what I'm trying to do is to empower communities to deal themselves with persistent speeding, and speeding often can lead to injury and death. And the way I'm doing that is that we're looking at things like the purchase of low-cost technology that you would attach to a lamppost that monitors what cars are up to. And if a car is speeding well above the limit, that information of the registration plate would go to the police. The police would then send out a warning letter or send round the heavy mob to knock on the door. And if that didn't change behaviour, then we'd send the enforcement team, like we see here, round to actually fine those persistent speeders.
Chris Nelson, thank you so much. We will now take a look at the actual operation and have a word with a couple of the officers and see how things are progressing. Well, here we are out on Secunda Way. It's a busy time of day, it's afternoon rush hour. Vicky Minty is operating the equipment that we see. Vicky, what are some of the things that might happen to the drivers if you detect them at too high a speed?
So the speeds today, they'll either receive a NIP, which is a notice of intended prosecution through the post, which will allow them to either do a speed awareness course or they will get a fine. Or for some of the other speeders, we are now pulling them over today and the police officers are doing checks on their vehicles.
Is this a good location from your point of view?
It's a horrible location from my point of view. We catch far too many people speeding, and a lot of people don't realise that it is a 30. They do believe it's a 40. As we've stood here today, there's quite a few pedestrians gone past, people on cycles. So, yeah, it's a nasty road to be speeding along.
Certainly is a nasty road to be speeding along. And that was James and Darren in the blue car visiting Bracknell. And I should say Bracknell and Gloucestershire is where they were at lunchtime and later on this afternoon. Now, we're going to keep the conversation going. We'd like you to do the same. Please join us on social media. The hashtag is Project Edward. You can catch up with us via our website, projectedward.org, where you can sign our road safety pledge. Although really it's your road safety pledge, because we'd like you to commit to being a safer road user. Also enter the competitions. I've said the Spin the Tyre competition is still going today and tomorrow. My colleague Neil Dewson-Smith, who you've heard from throughout this broadcast, there was a winner not far away from Neil, and he was able to present the prize in person. You will see that picture on social media if you haven't already seen it. It's quite a great coincidence there that we're able to make an in-person presentation of a Nextbase dashcam. That was good, but there's still several chances to win, so do get involved in that on the website. We are back at 10:30 tomorrow, live on all the usual channels. My final thanks again to Chief Superintendent Paul Timmins and everyone who's helped us at Lincolnshire Police, but from all of the road trip teams and everyone behind the scenes, I bid you farewell. Bye for now.